for those of you who don't have time or don't feel like watching the full length of this video, honestly, don't blame me. I tend to ramble a little bit too much in these anyway, so I put the full TLDR for you guys in the beginning. Please enjoy and have a good rest of your day. And it goes as follows. First point in 3. I am concerned that the former mod team of KK Game Studios, in their mass resignation, condemned the company that they have been supporting for so long, most likely longer than most people that have been following this game, probably ever since Freeman Star Edge, did a complete 180 and said don't buy any games from this company. Very, very stark contrast to what it used to be. They probably did a lot of bug testing, so to see this complete change is definitely unnerving and shows a mass deterioration in what we once were led to believe to be a strong relationship. Call it what you want, internet janitor, whatever. They were trusted with the devs. It was a strong relationship and it went to crap. Second point, the communication style between KK and the player base ever since post-launch of Freeman Guerrilla Warfare, October 2019, I believe, has been abysmal. It has gone in the complete opposite direction I think it should have gone, and if you're doing a rework, I think you need to be very hands-on, very frequent, just like when Freeman was first announced back in 2018 January. Just consistent posts, even small snippets. If you're gonna put everything in-house and just don't leak anything or don't say anything, you want to do it the full way. Don't think it would have been the smart thing to do in this case, but if you were gonna do that, which the developers opted to do right now currently, do it fully. Don't give small snippets and then pull away for several months, because if you do that, people's speculation will go through the roof and you have a situation as you currently do right now, which leads me to my third point. Somehow, a lot of people have decided that based off one comment conversation between a dev and someone on Steam discussion, or be it private DMs that was leaked, this year, October, which is basically in 7 days at this point, 7 or 8 days at this point, is going to be a day of reckoning, revelation, where good news of this game is going to come out. I'll be real with you guys. The moment I didn't see anything after 4 months with this game, I immediately changed my expectations towards the end of the year. Very rarely, especially if it's a rework, do you not see anything at all. Forgive the sirens in the background, but you don't see anything at all. Good news, if there is going to be any, will happen at the end of this year. If there's no news at the end of this year, consider this project GG. If you get anything in October, it's probably going to be a delay news. I would love to be proven wrong, but it is what it is. Whew, damn, guys. I did not think I would be making another video about Freeman Guerrilla Warfare until the rework itself launched, but I guess here we are with some pretty shocking news that happened actually a month ago, but I held off a little bit on making the video because I wanted to see if there'd be any reply or any after effect. But it's been a month, and guys, nothing has happened, so here we go. Most of you already know the news, but for those of you who haven't, the former mod team for Freeman Guerrilla Warfare have effectively stepped down and left the original Discord for the game. The one that came before KK Softworks, and then they had to branch out into 3 different games, and then whatever and whatnot happened after. This is the original Freeman Guerrilla Warfare mod team. A lot of people probably kickstarted their first game, Freeman Star Edge, helped support the beta development of Freeman Guerrilla Warfare back in 2018, 2019. They are all gone. The message reads as follows. Dear community, at everyone ping in the Discord. You may or may not know us. Those who have been here a while might remember the glory days of activity and in-jokes. This time, however, has passed. After long periods of inactivity and non-response to requests from the developers, we decided to take our leave. It's been a pleasure talking with you all, and our ways might cross in other servers. You never know. For the time being, we do not recommend you buy any more products from KK Game Studio, at least until our return with something other than announcement for things to come that never do. Their mysterious absence has gone on for so long that we can't help but hear alarm bells ringing in our heads. We bid you farewell, the former mod team of KK Game Studios. Now, there's been 2 types of responses over the last month that have occurred as a result of this statement. And if you want to know specifically, it happened at August 24th, I think. And I wanted to see if the devs would reply to this or if there'd be any more news, and not too much has happened. And finally, I thought I might as well just make a video talking about this right now. So and allow me to kind of think about it as well, because I've had, I would like to say I'm a veteran of this game for 400 hours at least. I know some people probably have more, but I'd like to think that I have quite a bit of experience with this game and, somewhat of a vested interest to see it be good. So my thoughts have actually not really changed too much after initially hearing this news, but I want to first go into those two types of responses that are being seen and kind of just echoed throughout both Steam reviews and Discord. And that is the first one being, why the hell you bitching? I you enjoyed the game for what it was back when it came out. Sure, the post launch didn't exactly go as planned. So what? You got your money's worth. Move on. Why are you still complaining? The second response that kind of counters that, or vice versa, depending on which you went with first, is, I knew it. They're bailing on us. This is the Viking way, her world, or her war. Sorry, Valkyries. All these other. It's the same. Quick cash grab. They're dipping out. She will punish them. Whatever. Like the sky is falling kind of take that people have been having for a few months now. I think ever since the Steam dev post around April when they said they were reworking the game. And, people have just been skeptical and whatnot. And the Steam reviews have showed it. Not too much, though, because people don't really... There's not enough players to, negative review bomb the Steam page, if that makes any sense. The most fluctuation we actually ever saw of that was when the vehicles were removed. And then, the reviews from Steam went from mostly positive to mixed for like a month or so. Or when like a patch was delayed. But that's really all there is to that. So the two responses, and then you have, some people on the Discord as well. I thought this is actually pretty funny what they did. They just basically made a nice little, meme about Discord mods and whatnot. So back to what I wanted to say about my thoughts regarding this particular piece of news. I will say that the one troubling thing that I've noticed in this is, if the mod team was on good, not even just like good, like neutral terms or good terms, right? If they just were like, whatever, it happened, they would not have felt the need to include this second paragraph. This is an active condemnation by what you would believe to be a former hardcore group of supporters that have been with the team for God knows how long, KK for how long. They've actively flipped and said, do not buy their games. This is the professional way of saying, screw this. This is literally the professional way. This is like a strongly worded email kind of message that you would put. If you leave off on even neutral terms or slight dislike, you don't put this in here. The fact that you put this in here means that it confirms what the overall community must be feeling, in that there is a growing, or there has and continues to be a growing disconnect and discontent amongst the player base because of the lack of communication from KK and the community. Which, if you compare that and how the communication was from now, like post-launch, I would say, all the way to pre-launch, it's night and day. The difference is crazy. You wouldn't even think the two companies were the same thing. When the game was first announced, after Freeman Star Edge bombed at around, I think, January of 2018, you got to post every 2 weeks, at least every 2 weeks, right? If not for every 3-4 days. You got to post just explaining patch notes, whatever, on Steam. And you can still find these posts, I believe. You can still find them. Now, obviously, as you get more and more deeper into the development cycle, the communication drops off. But, towards launch itself, it started to slow down. It started to become a lot more noticeable. And then after, just nothing. After the mod kit was released, literally nothing. Just donezo. And I don't care what, opinion you are. Everyone can agree that the communication style, at best, has been extremely, extremely shady. Extremely. Like, there's just really no other way of putting it. So now I want to show you the only response, or if you want to call it a response, to this message from the former mod team. And it was pretty much, I think, 1 or 2 days after the announcement came out in regards from the Discord mod. Someone asked one of the devs whether or not the status of Freeman Guerrilla Warfare, and she said it is still being worked on. It's a work in progress. But ever since then, which I could assume to be August, there really has been nothing. And I mean absolutely nothing. So let's go back on the message itself and, kind of discuss a little bit more on what could possibly happening that's causing such a delay or lack of communication from KK to the player base. And that is, it's basically a bankrupt company at this point. You've got a 3-person team reworking the whole game in the sense that you can't reuse assets. So we're not going to see any of Star Edge's assets in here. Or at least I would like to believe that. And as a result, they probably just don't have time. That's the optimistic way and benefit of the doubt kind of approach to give to developers. And they've just been swarmed completely, and they're just pulling Hello Games with No Man's Sky, Zero Dark 30, just full focus on the game. That's it. The only problem with that kind of reasoning is that they did show some material on the progress, and it was very, very small. And this was after they announced that vehicles would be returning to the game, but in a more transportation, like kind of a truck, just ferry your troops across the map kind of. They very much only squad car, no tanks, no mortar cars, right? It was, I call it the vehicle compromise. I said it in one of my previous videos as well, But they showed a rough 3 render model of the squad car on Instagram, and after that, you basically saw nothing. Now, I know you want to keep, everything in-house. You want to run a tight ship. You don't want to give too many expectations. But especially in this day and age of development and social media, if you had something to post, and I want you to think about this very carefully, guys. If you have something to post, you are going to post it. It doesn't matter what it is. If you have something new, even if it's like a variation of something you've already posted, you're likely going to post it. The fact that there's been nothing aside from that 3D car model, it really, really lends to some concern. It really does. Because I just don't see why you wouldn't post it. Now, people are going to speculate no matter what. So if the argument is, it's to create speculation, it's too late. People will already speculate. The only way you don't create speculation is if you do something like Apex Legends did with, EA did with Apex Legends, and no one knew the game was even coming out. Boom, it dropped instantly. And everyone was like, oh my god, so surprised, right? That's the only way, and most companies aren't going to do that. So, concerning that, there really hasn't been anything, and you also have to think as well that because the community has got nothing, they're going to speculate even more. And what I find a little bit crazy is that a lot of the community, the ones that are still on board the Freeman Guerrilla Warfare train, or those I call them the last holdouts, they've decided that October is kind of the expected date or expected month where something related to the game is released, because they took a comment from one of the devs saying it would take at the very earliest 6 months before anything plausible could be shown, as the Bible, text from the Bible. 6 months from April, which leads us probably midway through October. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, if they haven't posted anything right now, they're not posting anything in October. If you legitimately give them the benefit of the doubt of a 3-man team just working on this nonstop and just not having time to post and grinding, you're not getting anything in October. Realistically, I see 2 things happening. You get something at the end of the year, or you don't get anything at all. That's going to be the kind of decision. If you don't get anything by the end of the year, you can safely assume that this project is toast, right? To assume that you're going to get anything by October, I think, is just people trying to to grasp onto straws which don't really seem to exist. But a lot of the community seems to be thinking that October is this magical date where you're going to get some piece of news. And you might get news, but it might not be the news you want. So I think this... It's crazy to assume that October is the expectation. But, obviously, we all want something good to happen. But if you get anything by... I'll be surprised if there's good news in October. I'm going to be honest with you. Because so far, the track record the shady communication style has begged to differ. Now, some of you guys might look at me and say, well, didn't you say you thought it'd be 4 months or something in your previous video? And you're right, I did. I thought we would get a news post 4 months. Typically, you don't really go longer than 4 months without posting anything related to a game, especially one that everyone knows you're reworking. In fact, if you're reworking the game, you want to post as frequently as possible, as I just stated. So after that 4-month period went by, I had a feeling that October, whatever it was going to be called, it wasn't going to be, you weren't going to get anything. But you know, I'm always down to be proven wrong in a good way. I hope to dear God the game is remade and you get an alpha version of it in October. I really do. But I think there is going to be a serious wave of disappointment if it doesn't happen, and we might see some massive dislike bombs coming on the reviews, even more Steam discussion threads saying what happened to the game, yada yada yada. Devs are still active on there, and this is the final point I actually wanted to make in terms of this video, which has gone on a little bit too long, but we'll let it slide as I go into full camera. And that is the activity of the developers. Now, it's not like they've gone away. They're still active on their social media platforms. It's just they haven't really talked about Freeman as much, aside from that one comment that I saw from an Instagram reply / question. I know another dev has also been talking a little bit on Steam discussions, but they've kind of been carrying on just as business as usual without addressing it. So I think this is what the mod team was really trying to hammer in a way that well, they're still working but nothing on Freeman, so they're just trying to brush it under the rug like that Viking game, and everyone gets screwed and they hope people forget. That's where I think they were coming from. And actually, I know for a fact because someone specifically stated it was their social media activity or the way they were going about things that was extremely alerting. But yeah, guys, interesting stuff. TLDR, for those of you that don't really want to watch me kind of ramble a little bit too long because I've done this for like 20 minutes or so. TLDR, Discord mod team resigned a little over a month ago. Holdouts, or a lot of people are optimistic or hoping for October to be kind of like a revelation month where news related to the game kind of comes out. I personally am a little bit concerned and am doubtful that we're going to get anything October. At this point, I would much rather believe, I think end of the year is more realistic and more likely than October. And that seems to be reinforced by how the developers have gone about, just being active on social media and not really addressing Freeman guerrilla warfare too much. And I get it, you don't want to address the project that you're still working on because you create expectations, but it's like I was saying earlier, if you have something to post, you should post it because people will speculate and you'll get to this situation where October is the is the magical date. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, all right?